everyone. It's not easy to follow Sheila, but I'll do my best. Today I'm here to talk about how to monetize online marketplaces, which is really important to building a sustainable business. This is something that I've thought about every day for the last 5 years. Today, as the head of growth for Care.com, where I'm responsible for bringing more members onto the platform and having them become subscribing members with us. And before that, I led business operations for growth in new markets at NerdWallet, which is an online marketplace matching consumers with financial products. So this is something that I've thought a lot about. So first, it's important to set the stage. We are living in the golden age of consumer technology. The stock market has been booming, there's been a lot of investor funding going around, and we as consumers have benefited from all of this easy money, and it's been great. I didn't even know how delightful products could be until Snapchat came around and showed me that I could take a picture of my daughter, airbrush her, put on these funny glasses and freckles, and I would fall in love all over again. Or how about, I don't know if you guys remember the time when Uber was offering rides across the city for $2, or when Instacart was first giving out free grocery delivery. All of that consumer delight was funded by this easy money. And these companies grew a lot because of it. But it hasn't always been sustainable to grow in that way. And there's actually a downside to this unfettered growth. So case in point, are any of you guys MoviePass subscribers? Anyone? Are you guys still MoviePass subscribers? You are, okay. That's great, they need you. Yes, well, what an amazing product and value proposition. $10 a month, see as many movies as you want. It was incredible. And they vastly exceeded their user growth expectations, but they really couldn't continue to service that. And while MoviePass isn't quite dead, obviously, it is dying. And so the lesson here is that while we're so focused on growth, that it's also important to balance the idea of how to actually make money. And you don't have to optimize for making money, but you absolutely have to have a plan for it before this easy money dries up. And so in a one-sided marketplace, growth and monetization are a little bit more, go a little bit more hand in hand. You make a product, you sell the product. You sell more of that product, you make more money. It feels like you grow, you make money, great. A two-sided marketplace is a little bit more complex. Not only do you need to actually grow both sides of the marketplace, the buyer and the seller side, but there's even a question of what your product even is. So is your product the platform? Is it your sellers? Is it your sellers' products? Is it access to the buyers? Or is it the underlying user behavior data? And only once when you figure that out can you actually think about how to make money. And so if you currently work at a marketplace business, or if you're thinking about joining a marketplace business, there's 3 simple questions you need to understand to form the basis of a monetization plan. Who pays? What do they pay for? And what do you give away for free? So first, in terms of who pays, you've basically got 3 options. You've got the buyer, you've got the seller, and you've got a third party. And the key considerations you really need to think about is who benefits the most from this marketplace and who is willing and can actually afford to pay. The next question is, what do they actually pay for? So if you think about it, a marketplace is still fundamentally a place where someone is trying to buy something or find someone. And so as a marketplace, you really need to think about where you add the most value in that, in creating value for your end users. And that can be represented by a nice funnel here. So as a marketplace, you can think about, is the value you're adding actually at the top of the funnel, creating access? So think about when Etsy started. It enabled these micro entrepreneurs to actually open these storefronts, giving access to buyers everywhere of crocheted products. Or think about LinkedIn and the access it created of enabling recruiters to post a job that would go anywhere. So that would be creating value in terms of access. Mid-funnel is all about leads. And so is your marketplace actually set up to curate a set of products or curate a set of love interests? And is your value really in the vetting process? And at the bottom of the funnel is transactions. So is your marketplace actually set up to shepherd someone to actually make that sale or make that match? Is that the differential value you're actually creating? So these are things to think about when you think about what are you going to actually ask these payers to pay for? And then lastly is the question of what do you give away for free? So free is really what you do when you try and acquire users or when you need the marketplace itself to work. So everything outside of that is really a distraction when you think about what you're giving away for free. And so to bring this to light, I wanted to give a few examples of how these three questions are really interrelated. So at Care.com, we monetize primarily on the buyer side or the family, so families like mine. And when I was looking for a nanny for my daughter Greta, I had two not great options. One, very expensive. I could go to a nanny agency, spend thousands of dollars. The other option was incredibly time consuming. So I would have to source a number of high quality caregivers and vet them myself and interview and do all of that. And so Care.com actually created a ton of value in saving me both time and money. On the other side of the marketplace, the supply side, would be the caregivers. Caregivers are in job searching mode, don't have a job, maybe have less disposable income if they're looking for a job. And then also job seeking markets, typically the job seeker doesn't actually pay. So at Care.com, it's really the families, the buy side. And then what I was looking for was really access. So when I was thinking about finding a nanny, it wasn't like an Uber driver where anyone could do. I really needed to have a good personal connection. And so having access to a base of high quality caregivers that I could really figure out who was best for me and my family, that's really what I was paying for. I was paying for access to that market. And then in terms of what's free, as I mentioned, Care.com is really only successful if we have the best and the most caregivers. And so therefore, we made the whole caregiver experience free. It's free to set up a profile, it's free to get a job, and really what we're trying to do is get as many of these great caregivers onto our platform. We don't want to create any friction there. We also need families, the payer side, to have confidence in the platform and to understand that the inventory we say we have is true. And so we also make it free to post a job and free to search the caregiver, so you really understand that Care.com is what it says it is. NerdWallet is a different marketplace, has a different strategy. And as I mentioned, NerdWallet matches consumers with financial products. And so in terms of their evaluation of who pays, that one's pretty easy. It's the sell side who pays. Those are the financial institutions like Chase or Citi or Bank of America. They have a lot of money that they put aside toward customer acquisition and are always looking for new channels to make a sale, to find a customer. So they have the money. Meanwhile, the buy side of that marketplace, consumers like you or I, we can really go almost anywhere to get a credit card these days, so we'd never pay for that service. In terms of what the financial institutions pay for, it's really at that bottom of the funnel. It's that transaction. So for NerdWallet's credit card business, we would monetize on the transaction. And the NerdWallet experience, from providing advice to tools to making the credit card application process really easy, was all targeted toward helping a consumer get the product they want, helping the seller make the sale. And then finally, in terms of what's free, like I said, people can go anywhere to get credit cards, so why would they actually come to NerdWallet? In order for that marketplace to really work, we had to have the consumers, and so therefore, NerdWallet invested a ton in great content, in tools, in order to build that trust with users. I know it's hard to go through 3 examples, but for the sake of comprehensiveness, I want to talk quickly about Facebook, which I'm sure everyone here is quite familiar with. In terms of who pays for Facebook, it's really third-party ads, no shocker there. Marketers are paying for access and leads in the form of eyeballs and click-throughs. And in terms of what's free, well, think about what does it take for that marketplace to work. It really requires having very detailed user information. And so the product is the social media platform we're all quite familiar with. Facebook also invests in a number of marketing tools for marketers to get the most use out of that ad platform. So the lesson here is these three questions are interrelated, and every business has a different business model where you really need to think about who pays, what for, and what's free. And so if I've exposed for you in this conversation that two-sided marketplaces are complex, I hope that you also feel a sense of excitement in that complexity. It's really a game of chess, not checkers, and there's a number of strategic choices that can be made. So if you find yourself building a marketplace business, just remember that growth is important, but make sure you have a plan for making money. Consider who pays. Ensure you're offering them differential value and that they can actually afford it. Know what you're asking people to pay for, and make sure that you're aligning the value you offer with the value you create. And lastly, have a plan for what's free, because nothing in life is free, so make sure whatever you are giving for free actually reinforces your marketplace. Thank you very much.